From SCNR, Kamala Harris surges ahead of Trump in national and electoral college polling. Poli-sci professor told SCNR Biden shows clear signs of aging. The public viewed him as too old to be effective. Kamala Harris does not have this problem. And Frank Luntz has predicted that Kamala Harris right now would win, saying, make no mistake, Trump's advantage with the Republican convention after that ended is gone. It's wiped away. And if the election were held today, I actually believe that Harris would beat Trump. That's how much things have changed over the last 2 weeks. Harris leads Trump by half a point in the RCP polling average, and several key battleground states have the two essentially tied. Luntz also pointed out, with a little more than 3 months to go before the November 5th election, the contest is up for grabs. I would also add that the the betting markets are favoring Kamala Harris in the swing states. So, guys, you better go register voters. You better do everything you have to do. Otherwise, I hate to break it to you, you're going to have a president with no campaign policies or policy positions who was installed and not a single person voted for. This would be the end of the republic. And I'm not trying to be cute. I am saying if Kamala Harris wins, it will be, I believe it will be the first anti-popular president without any mandate from the masses in any way. Because we can go back and we can look at, Gerald Ford, for instance, right? He became president because of, JFK was never elected. He was VP. He wasn't under JFK, was he? No. Lyndon Johnson was.
Elected.
No. How did Gerald Ford become president?
I think he was a VP first.
I don't think he got elected.
The president got assassinated, I believe, and then he was a VP.
No, I think it was Nixon resigned and Ford had to step up. It was Nixon.
You're right. Nixon resigned and Gerald Ford becomes president. But this is a standard process. History. This is a guy who actually campaigned on a ticket with Nixon. They won. He gets elected, and then he fulfills his duty. If Kamala Harris gets elected president, it will be the first president who is installed by a party without a mandate from the masses and has no policies for the country. Yeah. No mandate from the country.
I think the Democrats were extremely shrewd how they played this past 2 crazy months of a news and political cycle. They did it extremely effectively and kind of stole a lot of momentum that the Republicans had going into their convention. So we had the Trump assassination attempt. That was probably the day where Trump was most popular. And the coming days after that, with all of the people coming together, this was after the Joe Biden debate where Joe Biden performed extremely poorly. Trump was getting that boost from the convention. But this was all while behind the scenes, the Democrats were replacing Joe Biden, and that was exciting and motivating so many of those Democrats. And now we're seeing that boost after Joe Biden is being replaced on the ticket by Kamala Harris.
They had to wait till after the campaign because that way Trump was locked into a VP pick. All the excitement for Trump was, the big events were over, right? The RNCs, arguably the biggest event, that ended. So now let's drop the bomb. We're going to put Kamala in. And now all the momentum, the traditional momentum is with her. You have the DNC next. It's going to be a vibes and worship fest. They're going to have every celebrity. You're probably going to drag Taylor Swift out of Vienna if they don't blow her up before. And she's going to go and do this big
The Republicans hit their stride too early with
It was the only way the media could turn the news cycle, right?
And they did a great job
of Joe Biden out because after that, 10-day period, let's say, like the pressure was already on after the debate. That late June debate, Joe Biden was looking so weak, but he was not willing to go. Every day after the assassination attempt, going into the RNC, that you got these stronger images of Trump. Not just the standing up on the stage and like putting his fist up and that like swell of USA chanting, him coming to the RNC with the bandage on his ear, like all of the things that happened there, the moments that he had with Corey Compatore's uniform jacket, like these were, I think, really big moments for the country that I think could have been points of unity. And the Democrats knew there was no way for them to message and say, like, yes, we need to turn down political rhetoric political tensions because they need that. That's the only way they can compel their voters out of
their whole thing is Trump is Hitler.
It was huge momentum for the Republicans based off those 3 events: the debate, the assassination attempt, then the convention. And the Democrats stole all of that thunder by having the biggest news story of the past decade, probably, of a presumptive nominee being swapped out. And then the focus became Kamala Harris following that, and it's been Kamala Harris since then.
Yeah.
So obviously we have
think that's
more
the thing.
time.
It
But
added so much pressure to Biden. The only thing that they could do was get him to drop out and to put Kamala in charge to regain control of the news cycle. Otherwise, all we would have been talking about to this day, like how we haven't talked about the FBI's, conversations about Thomas Crooks. We haven't talked about this in a long time because they have been able to single-handedly say, we're talking about Kamala now.
They
Nothing
set
else
the
matters.
news cycle, and they do a great job of it. And now Kamala's the only topic of conversation.
the Democrats are
Someone
so
who has no
excited.
policies
No
is the top.
policy and was hated. Remember
It's all
that.
vibes. It's all vibes and what she represents as a black woman, as a woman of color. And the Democrats are hitting their stride. Kamala Harris is gaining all the momentum right now because the Democrats felt like they were in a rut. They felt like they were screwed over by Joe Biden. They were burdened by him. He was a ball and chain to them.
Now
And now
they're
they feel like
unburdened by what has
they are
been.
just unburdened by Joe Biden, and they have a candidate who in their eyes thinks represents their voters and helps represents the issues that they're focused
And
on.
that's
i.e.
why she doesn't
abortion.
want a debate.
And that's why the Democrats are hitting their stride. And that's why Frank Luntz is saying, it looks like Harris might have the.
Well, and you
election
had an
coming up.
interesting interview because you were at the rally that I liked with. There was a guy that you spoke to, and he said like, why do you support Kamala? And he was like, oh well, I think it's really important that we have the first female black president. And I think that's a good idea. And you kind of pushed him on it. You were like, hey man, what does that mean? Can you explain that to me a little bit more? Like, why is this important? And it sort of was nothing. Like, it was just. Well, it's important that people feel represented.
It's
not
like, if a
important.
woman becomes president, therefore,
think they
we've
can't.
overcome all the bigotry towards women.
No,
If a black
no.
person becomes president, the country's no longer racist, which can't be true because Obama was president and Democrats still say our country's racist. So no matter what we do, we're
never
tarnished by the poison of racism, even if, well, I guess he was only half, and it wouldn't work with Kamala because she's
Kamala's less
also
than
only
half. Kamala's less than half. She's like, no, there's nothing there. And she specifically says, so this whole thing about the first black female president, you got to ask these black voters, what has Kamala said she's going to do for the black community? She literally laughed at that question. She laughs at everything, so that's not the biggest deal. But she laughed and said, well, I'm going to just focus on things that are good for all the people, which is a right answer, right? That's the right answer technically.
Should
That's
be.
not the answer that people want to hear.
Many black voters are mostly
There's no
concerned
black
with
agenda.
representation.
There's no black agenda.
And whatever the Democrats are doing, they're clearly doing it the right way, and they're very effective at it with the black community.
Yeah.
And
the only
whatever
message-
they're doing an effective job at dominating the black community.
It's just
votes-wise.
terror. It's terror. They're terrifying them.
To an
That's all it
outrageous
is.
degree. I think Joe Biden won next to 90%, something close to 90% of the black vote. The numbers that sound ridiculous, sound outlandish, sound made up. So
Well, they convinced them Trump's a racist. They say, and then the Project 2025. Nobody even knows what that means anymore. That's just thrown out at any. Oh yeah, well things are going to be bad. Project 2025. Nobody knows what's
on
in
Project 2025, Democrats might not know what's in it, but they fearmonger about it very
That's all they do.
effectively. I spoke to many people yesterday at Kamala Harris's Philadelphia rally where I wouldn't mention it, they would mention it as one of their biggest concerns. So it is sort of the Democrats' DEI or CRT from past elections, if you will. It's become the new scapegoat phrase to attack.
Yeah,
when there isn't something
and we can't
tangible
win
enough.
on that. We can't win on talking about Project 2025. We just can't. We have to get it back to the issues, and we will. I think we will. As soon as she has to debate him, it's going to be pretty different.
Maybe Trump will deal a second knockout blow to the next. We'll see who's up after Kamala.
She's just
They're
gonna-
going to swap Kamala out
gonna
after the next
Do
debate.
the same thing she did tonight, which is to go, I'm speaking. She's
Yeah.
going to wait for him
If she
to
does-
She's going to have a female moment.
did it
If she does angry black woman at the debate, America does not like that. This is not a Medea movie. Like, it's not going to work.
You say that, but the media will praise her.
Oh,
for
the
it.
media
She
will.
did this with Pence, right? I'm speaking.
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking.
And
now.
the media loved it, but it doesn't come off well. It just doesn't come off well. You're talking about middle American votes. You're talking about votes in the Midwest.
None of this
This
matters.
is not going to work.
None of that matters. Ballot harvesting matters.
It's true. It's who counts these votes. It's really all it is. I saw a ballot box in D.C. today. Why do we still have ballot boxes? We don't have COVID anymore. Why do we still have these things? Like, and we've done nothing about election integrity. With that being said, I still think we win it. I really do. I still think Trump wins this. But we've got to get smart. And once we're in, we've got to use every bit of that power for these 4 years to hold back what they're trying to do to us. Because God knows if she gets in, she's not Joe Biden. This woman is going to have a competent team, and she is going to push the most radical agenda that anyone in this country can even conceive of. And if we don't push back in the 4 years that we may get now, we're going to have nothing by the time.
Well, I mean, if an installed candidate ends up winning, it just gives Democrats what they've been hoping for a very long time, Chinese communist-style governance.
Yeah.
The party decides who's going to lead the country, and everyone else just falls in line or else.
And did you see his little thing today, Walls? It was from the past where he says, well, you know, free speech and all, but misinformation cannot be tolerated and disinformation cannot be tolerated. They're literally Marxists. It's MAGA versus Marxism.
And he
That's where
said
we
that
are.
as a guy who was spreading misinformation about J.D. Vance and
about his own
stripping the
service
couch.
record, this
And,
psychopath.
so
He's a pedophile.
super cynical. We're going back to this about succeeding in politics and just being as cynical as you could possibly be.
What do you think J.D. Vance should do on the debate stage? Because presumably he will debate Walz.
Flaunt his record as a veteran as a contrast to Waltz's lack of and not actually stolen valor, but talking up being in combat.
I think he should act like a statesman because Walz is going to try to put on this folksy act like he's some man of the people. I think Vance needs to just literally just be very, very statesman-like.
Do VPs even matter? Who gives a, nobody's getting excited over, I don't think, over JD or Waltz. It's all about Kamala and Trump.
Okay.
I mean, look, Kamala's got no staying power. Waltz has got no staying power. J.D. Vance has a little bit. Trump has a lot. If this election were literally the two of them, you take 10 people, you put them in a room, you get Kamala and Waltz and Trump and Vance, and then you ask people to vote. They're voting for Trump and Vance, no question. Done instantly. It's going to be unanimous, 100%.
Trump feels like a president.
This is not what the election is. Okay,
Right.
The election is going to be blue areas that are in cults, red areas with a lot of voters. All the same will just rubber stamp R, no matter who it is, and then Democrats are like that. Okay, so that's locked. You've got D plus 30s, R plus 30s. All we got to do now is ballot harvest the rest. This election is going to come down to the infrastructure and mechanisms by which Republicans are prepared to win. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why Trump lost in 2020, because Zuckerbucks and all the rest of them had a quote unquote shadow campaign, they called it, which was the mechanism and infrastructure by which they get more numbers than the Republicans did.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe and we'll see you all there.